Next on BYUSN, just a few precious days away from joining the Big 12 Conference officially, and Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark will join us live. What kind of brand value does BYU bring to the Big 12? We'll ask him that.
Plus, what's next in conference expansion, the expanded college football playoff, how he sees the balance of power in the Big 12 moving forward, and more.
Let's get the energy high. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Happy Thursday, everyone. It is June 29th. I am Spencer Linton, alongside a man who I know is counting down the days to official Big 12 invitation.
It's
Jarom,
pretty easy math at this point, so let's just hit it.
Countdown to the Big 12.
2 days away.
Like, we've waited so long, right? September 10th, 2021, the greatest weekend in BYU sports history, perhaps. Getting the Big 12 invite, ending the 9-game losing streak to Utah, winning that, a great 2021 season. We've been waiting for this moment, and it happens essentially tomorrow night at midnight.
Yeah, we're not even 2 days away, right? Again, we're not supposed to do live math on the air, but it's roughly
34 hours? Yeah. Hey, I even weighed in there.
Like 38 hours away, yeah. I think is where we're at. Okay.
Dang it, I missed it.
Without further ado, because it is the countdown to the Big 12, we welcome in today to BYU Sports Nation the commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. Brett Yormark is joining us live. Commissioner Yormark, welcome to the show. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here today.
Saturday, as we mentioned, the league officially moves to 14 teams for 1 year. Then it'll be 12 in 2025. How has this been for you, this whole process of taking over as commissioner and then navigating the league through expansion and still having Texas and Oklahoma and dealing with further expansion? What's it like for you emotionally?
Well, I'm really excited. I mean, guys, I often say this. There's never been a better time to be involved with the Big 12 than right now. There's incredible momentum, lots of energy. Our narrative has changed, and our future is very exciting. And a part of that future is obviously welcoming the 4 new schools, inclusive of BYU, on July 1. The good thing is the integration of the 4 new schools has been ongoing for the last 2 years. I mean, yes, it's the official day in which they enter the conference, but they have been very much part of our family for the last 2 years. And we're just really excited about the future of this conference with our 4 new additions. And I'm really excited, for BYU. Listen, I was on campus last fall. I've experienced the energy that the fan base has, for everything you guys do, and obviously for their entry into the Big 12. I'm excited to get on campus next fall, but it's a very exciting time for us, and it's a time that really our fans should enjoy. It's a big moment, and I like to call it, it's bringing in the new Big 12. I mean, that's really what happens on July 1. It is the new Big 12, and our future is bright, and our 4 new schools are a big part of that future.
The day you visited campus, you swung by the women's soccer game. I was getting ready to call a game. You're on a golf cart. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. Here we are again, which is great. In the past almost 2 years, has there been validating moments to where you were like, I knew we made the right choice, but now that I've interacted with these schools and been there, like, this was the right choice for sure?
Well, I have to give all the credit for this round of expansion to Bob Bowlesby. I mean, Bob, obviously, once Oklahoma and Texas decided to leave, his recovery efforts were fantastic. And he was able to identify 4 great fits for this conference. Obviously, I inherited those 4 schools, and I'm glad that I did. They were a big part of us getting that new TV deal done, creating the narrative around the 4 schools and the impact they would have on this conference moving forward with the departures of Texas and Oklahoma. When I got on campus this past fall, which was the first time, I had been at BYU, I sensed the energy, the enthusiasm. And for me, listen, I've grown up a college sports fan. I know the breadth and depth of BYU and BYU Nation. It's a big national brand. It fits so perfectly well within our conference footprint. So for me, that validation really was the day they accepted the invitation. And I'm so thrilled that BYU will be part of our family.
Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark is live on BYU Sports Nation. Let's stay with the brand value conversation. Much has been said and even speculated about in terms of what BYU's actual value is to the Big 12 Conference. So in your opinion, and from what you've seen, I mean, straight up facts, what type of brand value does BYU give to the Big 12 when you're negotiating TV contracts and whatnot?
Big time. Big time. I mean, you know, as I said earlier, when we got to the table early with ESPN and Fox, and as we all know, it was critical for us to get something done in order to establish stability and certainty for this conference moving forward. BYU was a big part of that conversation, their fan base, how national they are, the market they bring, you know, a third time zone, lots of value BYU brought to that conversation, as did the other three schools, but BYU in particular. Just being so national, it was a critical part of our discussions. And, you know, I think it played a significant role in us being able to get the deal done that we did, which I'm really proud of.
Certainly you get asked a lot about expansion, so let's talk about it. Let's add to the conversation. Is the Pac-12 TV deal the next domino in potential action by the Big 12? Is that what you're sort of waiting on?
That's an interesting question, Jarom. You know, from where I sit, it's not so much about the Pac-12 TV deal. And listen, I wish them well, and I hope they can, you know, ultimately get a deal done that satisfies their membership. But, you know, when I think about expansion, and obviously whatever we do needs to be additive, because I love the composition of our conference today. So truly, whoever we bring in needs to be additive and needs to bring, you know, value to the overall equation. But I want schools that are intentional, that are vested, that want to come here, not because we have a better TV deal, but because they want to sign up for the mission and vision of this conference and where we're going. And they want to be part of our journey, just like BYU obviously signed up for the future of the Big 12. So that's what I'm really all about. That's what our conference is about. Whether a TV deal or not is the impetus for change, you know, I can't really speak to that. But when we're thinking about schools that could be additive, you know, we have these guiding principles for expansion, you know, and it starts with, you know, academics and leadership. Cultural fit plays a huge role, geography, athletic performance, and then also brand upside. So it's not so much about the TV deal. It's about those guiding principles and making sure that whoever might be interested in joining the Big 12 is all in, is totally vested in where we're going.
Brett Yormark with great insight into expansion, the Big 12 Conference, Pac-12 media deal, and I feel like we're just getting going. I know that people like to focus on a number, Brett. It's 14 teams this year. It's 12 in 2025. Like, there's this idea that, well, if you have more, it means more stability. Where do you stand in that argument of, well, yeah, let's add more so there is more stability?
I don't think stability in numbers are you know, necessarily aligned there. I mean, to me, I do think there's strength in numbers, but if we end up being at 12, that's great. I'd like to stay at 14, even with the departures of Texas and Oklahoma, candidly. We'll see if that's a possibility or not. But I love 12. I love the current makeup moving forward. In fact, I'm thrilled with it. We're not chasing a number. Again, whatever happens has to truly create value for the conference and fit within those guiding principles with respect to how we're thinking about expansion. But it's not so much a number that we're thinking about. It's really more about the fit. And I think that's critically important.
There are other schools who aren't in the Pac-12 or other Power Fives that have been discussed that certainly would love to be in the Big 12. What's the process of evaluating those potential schools and their fit? Because certainly the Pac-12 TV deal has nothing to do with the San Diego States, Gonzagas, and UConns of the world.
Well, I mean, I think it gets back to the value equation. You know, whether you're a Power Five institution or part of the Group of Five, it really comes down to what is that value equation and what are the things that, you know, a particular institution might bring to the table. I mean, listen, I've been very intentional about it. You know, as much as Basketball drives or football rather, drives the conference. Basketball is a big part of our future. I think it's undervalued. So whether you're a member of the Power Five or Group of Five, if you're an institution that focuses on basketball and has a heritage there, that's value for us. We need more than that, but that's certainly valuable, within our guiding principles and the conversations that we're having. Geography matters. As I've said before, I want to be a national conference, not only in how our brand is perceived, but the ultimate composition and makeup of this conference. I'd like to be in all 4 time zones. So I don't necessarily look at Power 5 versus Group of 5. It really comes back to, again, the value equation. What a school brings to the Big 12, and is it additive? And if it is, then we're going to have a conversation that hopefully is meaningful.
You've been very innovative in a bunch of ways. We'll get to that more in a second. Certainly the men's basketball is sort of like, can we take advantage of this, is a real interesting idea, because it's the #1 league in America, undoubtedly, which is awesome, and a challenge for BYU that we're excited about. There are schools that probably add value in that space. Do you feel like you need to add men's basketball strength, or because it's already the #1 league, when the contract's up in 2031, that it would be good enough to perhaps attack with the existing teams?
Listen, I love the makeup of our conference, and yes, we are clearly the #1 basketball conference in America. But if there's an opportunity to double down and create more value, for our basketball business, absolutely. We should pursue it and explore it, and we have, and we'll continue to do such. I think that's a very important part of who we are as a conference, our basketball prowess, both men's and women's. And again, if there's opportunities to strengthen that position that we already have, then I'd like to pursue it in a holistic conversation, obviously. And we have had those conversations, and we'll see where they take us.
Brett Yormark is on BYU Sports Nation, and Brett, in full clarity, a fan from an opposing fan base called me a Brett Yormark fanboy on Twitter the other day. And this is because, to your credit, you've been very innovative. Big 12 in Mexico. We've talked about the ESPN and Fox deal. Obviously, the events at Rucker Park, the NFL Combine idea within the Big 12 Conference. Yeah, we've had a lot to talk about, and we've been grateful for that, and we're super excited about it. So, yeah, we're going to embrace that as Brett Yormark fanboys. What else are you looking to innovate on, and what else can you shed light on at this point?
Well, listen, we're only getting started. Obviously, it's been a great 10, 11 months. In addition to some of the progress we've made, I've done a lot of listening and learning, because I had a bit of a learning curve coming into collegiate athletics. Although, I had interfaced, with the industry before, I didn't live in it. And there was a bit of an adjustment period. That being said, I think many of my skills have been transferable, and are leading us, in the direction that we're going. That being said, we are going to continue to innovate. We are going to be a conference that is defined by innovation. We want to eventize our business. We want to internationalize our business to the extent that we can. Obviously, Mexico is a big, big opportunity for us. So you're going to see more and more out of this conference. Starting Media Day, you'll see a bit of a brand refresh as we look to contemporize our visual identity, which I'm very, very excited about. So there'll be new things to reference, hopefully, on a frequent basis, because, as I said, we're just getting started, and as much as year one has been very productive, I'm really energized by year 2. We just completed a business plan, the first strategic business plan this conference has done since 2011. And it's our guiding principle, if you will, going forward, not only over the next 12 months, but over the next 36 months. And we have a lot to accomplish, a lot to do here. And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. And specifically, I want to reference the NFL Combine idea within the conference. Because it is such a powerful basketball conference as well, is that something that you would pursue, to have a Big 12 basketball combine for the NBA?
If there's something we can explore that makes sense, I'm open to it. I said last year during Media Day, it's almost been a year now, we're open for business. And some people interpreted that from an expansion perspective. That's not what my intent was at the time, nor is it today. We're open for business, and what that really means is we're going to explore every and all possibility to grow our brand, to grow our business, to enhance the student-athlete experience. And, if extending, this combine pro day format beyond football is something that makes sense and we can partner with the right people, we'll explore it. But I'm really excited about, the Big 12 Pro Day. I think it's going to be very exciting, for our draft eligible student athletes. Hosting it in Frisco and partnering with the Dallas Cowboys, I think is going to be very unique and exciting, for our student athletes. And being able to consolidate it in one place and bring in all the right people, I think is something that, we haven't afforded our student athletes before. And then partnering with the NFL, being on NFL Network for 3 days, really puts our brand, on a national platform when it matters most. So I'm really, really excited about it. If we can replicate that in other areas of our business, we should.
Men's basketball schedule we're excited about. Is that something we can expect, later this summer? What's the, schedule for that?
Yeah, we're working with ESPN right now and excited about that schedule. And, I would assume that it would probably come out. Historically, I guess it's come out in August. So I would say August, September. But that should be an exciting moment for us, and we'll amplify it. It'll be an 18-game schedule, conference schedule. Each school will play 5 schools twice and 8 teams once. And, obviously we'll try to maintain some rivalries there as we finalize the schedule. So it'll be exciting for our fans, to receive. And we're looking forward to putting that out, like I said, in probably August or September.
It's been interesting to watch the Big Ten and the SEC emerge as like these powerhouse conferences. And to your credit, the Big 12 is moving and shaking, and you're trying to, in a way, keep up. So what's the secret or the formula to, I guess, close the gap on them financially speaking and maintain that, hey, we're on par with you two big conferences?
Well, Spencer, that's a great question. And I live my life, and I live my personal life and my professional life in a very similar way. I want us as a conference to be the best version of ourselves. We're not near that yet. There is so much upside in everything we're doing, which is really exciting when you think about the future of our conference. I think for us first, it was to change the narrative, reposition the conference, reimagine it, and which I think we've done. As I said to the key stakeholders, referencing our TV deal, we obviously need to continue to grow our value proposition with our TV networks. And I looked at it as a 2-step process. We experienced nice growth in this recently completed TV deal. And then we're back into the market in 31, as you said. And it'll be in before that, obviously, the negotiating window. And that'll afford us an opportunity to take another big bite out of the apple, which I'm really excited about. And between now and then, it's about growing our business, growing our brand, diversifying our revenue, and setting us up for another big moment. So I'm not as concerned about the SEC in the Big Ten. I'm concerned about us being, again, the best version of ourselves. And we've got a lot of upside in every respect. And we're going to seize the moment and seize the opportunity. And I'm excited about it.
We're excited about it, too. Listen, we've been alone, independent for 12 long years. We're excited to be in the league. Did want to ask you about sort of that TV deal. That has changed the course of the Big 12, as you mentioned. Is that the most validating thing you've done so far as commissioner, to get that done, secure the future, and in a timeline that really sets you up for success?
Yeah, listen, I'm thrilled with a lot of things we've done this year. And you mentioned many of them before. I mean, one of the biggest things I'm thrilled about is, we've gone through an organizational redesign at the conference in order to better serve our member institutions. And I inherited a great team, but we've grown that team dramatically, where we have a ton of subject matter experts that are truly vested in the future of this conference and to serve our members. That being said, if there was one highlight this year, I would have to say it was the TV deal. The TV deal validated this conference. ESPN and Fox, the two biggest platforms in what we do, bet yes for the Big 12. That was critically important for us. And, having their support to grow our brands and help grow our business, to elevate and amplify everything we do on a national basis, was certainly something we needed. And in order to get that done as quickly as we did, afforded us an opportunity to draft behind it and do all the things we've done since that announcement in the fall. So I guess I would agree with you. It was a catalyst and a big moment that enabled us to really level set, stabilize, and start thinking about growing and reimagining this conference, which we've taken full advantage of.
Brett, as you look at BYU specifically, and with this mission in mind to grow the conference, obviously you want all of the institutions to play their specific roles in helping the overall good of the conference move forward. But specifically, what are you hoping for from BYU, let's say, over the next 3 to 5 years? What are you hoping they become and how they can help the Big 12?
Listen, I want them to be the best version of themselves, no different than the conference. They're a national brand, but they can become a household brand for sure. And we're going to help them like they help the conference. We have a vested interest in making sure if BYU wins, then the conference wins. If the conference wins, BYU wins. So it comes hand in hand, and there's perfect alignment there. And with the help of our strategic partners like ESPN and Fox, I want them to help glamorize all our programs and to truly make them household programs from coast to coast. And I'm very confident that will happen with BYU. I mean, they have incredible support nationally. I think that support will continue to grow now that they're on a bigger platform with the Big 12. And as commissioner here, I'm ready to serve and assist in any way I can. But we're very excited for the partnership with BYU. I love, the AD Tom and Shane, the new president. I mean, great people. They're committed to our vision and mission. They're totally vested in our future and our success, and it's mutual success. Again, as I said, they've been a big part of this conference for the last 2 years. It's official July 1. I'm really energized by it. And I'm just feel blessed that, one, I'm in the position as commissioner, and two, I can work with great people and great brands like BYU.
The real question we haven't asked is what do you need from BYU that you don't already have? We got the Maple Bar, which is a cougar tail. We call it the Arnold Palmer. We need you to hike the Y, maybe get in the Rock. Like, what do you need from us, Brett?
No, you guys are great. As I said today, I'm traveling, but my office called me and said, "Boy, you got a great care package from BYU today of kind of, local favorites. There was, candy and treats, et cetera, et cetera." And listen, I don't need anything from BYU. I mean, I'm just blessed to, work with them. And I love the school, the brand. I look forward to being on campus, like I said, this fall. And, that opening conference game versus Cincinnati happens to fall on my birthday weekend.
Oh, hey.
I think the date is September 29th.
Correct.
And my birthday is September 28th. And that's going to be a big moment, I think, for BYU. I mean, there'll be a lot of moments between now and then. Obviously, July 1's a big one. But that's going to be a big one when they play their first conference game. And God willing, I'll be there. And it'll be an exciting moment.
Brett, we'll finish with this. Your assistant alluded to Brett is traveling might be the theme of your life right now. You're definitely gone a lot, but what does your life look like, professionally speaking, over the next few months before the football starts, aside from Big 12 Media Days in mid-July?
Well, what I learned, and very quickly, there's no off season in what we do. Probably no different than you guys. And as much as the world of academia might slow down a little bit during the summer months, we're gearing up, obviously for a lot of things, especially the football season. So there's not a lot of downtime, but I will break away for a little time and spend some quality time with my family and after media day. But between now and media day, it's making sure that is the kind of moment we all hope it to be. which is going to be a big moment as we show, our stakeholders and our fans a bit of a new Big 12, at least from a visual standpoint. And then from there, it's kind of setting our selves up for the upcoming academic year, which comes very quickly. And I do travel a lot, but I enjoy it. I like to get on campus. I like to meet with key stakeholders. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm in the people business. And I've recognized that throughout my career. So it's important for me to be in front of the right people as often as possible to foster those relationships and to communicate, what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I'm blessed to be the commissioner of the Big 12. I've had great jobs prior to this. I'd have to say I'm having a great time, and it's different than where I've been before. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. And, I appreciate the support I get from BYU and all of our members in order for me to do what I do.
We appreciate the time today, Brett. You've answered so many questions. You've given such great insight. Just one more small favor, and this is from our stylist and one of our makeup artists. She said, Spencer, you need to talk to that guy about where he gets his suits. And I said, okay, I'll ask you.
I got a guy in New York City, okay, and he takes very good care of me. And I haven't been doing a lot of shopping in Dallas, although Dallas is my home. I just haven't found a place. So when I get back to New York, I've got to go to. So the next time you're in New York, you let me know. I'm going to introduce you to him, okay?
I would love that. Awesome. Brett, thanks again for the time.
You got to do me one favor, Spencer.
You bet.
To fit in the suits that I wear, got to be in good shape.
Okay, then.
You are.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'll work on that part. I'll be my best self, like you said.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
Hey, great to talk to you. Thanks again. The Commissioner, Brett Yormark, of the Big 12.
Of the Big 12. Man, we learned a lot there. Like, he doesn't, full disclosure, they didn't say, no, don't ask about this or that. We could ask anything we wanted, which I always love when we have a guest, which is great. And he answered all the questions and said some really interesting things, which we're going to break down coming up in the next segment.
We have a lot to discuss.
Absolutely.
But he was so gracious with his time. I mean, obviously
gave
he's
us
so busy.
5 minutes or something?
That was awesome.
Amazing. Okay, BYU's going to the Big 12 on Saturday. We have got a show for 2 hours to celebrate it with you. Come hang out if you're local. If not, come watch. 5 to 7 Eastern time. It's the big party as BYU enters the Big 12 on BYUtv and BYU Radio.
Up next, which Holiday Bowl victory of iconic nature will face off against the #1 seed BYU upsetting Miami from 1990 in our best wins bracket? Plus, as Jarom mentioned, we discuss what we just learned from Commissioner Yormark. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
As we've spent time working with so many groups around the world, we've learned a lot.
I have really learned the importance of gratitude.
African electrical systems.
Well, I've learned that Kieran actually loves concrete.
The power of cooperation.
But above all,
we've learned the world is a family.
And fixing someone else's problems
ends up fixing my own.
We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan. We just spoke with the Big 12 Commissioner, Brett Yormark. 3 loaded minutes of conversation there.
Great. Great, man. Fun.
There's much to break down.
I felt like I got to ask like 92% of everything I wanted to ask. You know what I mean? Like,
we don't have to get to do that.
No. Sometimes it's short and you get in what you can. And no, it was great. It was really good. Well, okay, the first thing, I really enjoyed his answer about when I asked, are you waiting on the Pac-12 TV deal? He said, first off, I hope they get a deal that satisfies their members. I was a little surprised by that. Because if I'm Brett Yormark, I'm like, I hope they don't have a satisfactory one and that we have a few people come knocking. But he then said, listen, for us to add teams, they need to be additive. They need to add value. I want schools that are vested. Not because they have a better TV deal with us. Mm-hmm. You'd think, it feels like that's what it comes down to for a lot of teams, but he's saying, no, it needs to be more than that.
Not about that.
And their guiding principles, he mentioned expansion, cultural fit. He said geography has to make sense, which is interesting because if you're like open for, say, Washington, Oregon, and UConn and San Diego State, and you have UCF, like all you need is Miami, I guess.
Yeah.
Wait on that. Like you are everywhere. So that would be a follow-up that I would ask in the future is, okay, you mentioned geography's got to fit. What do you mean by that? Because does that mean someone would be out of sort of a space that you wouldn't want? Like, does UConn not make sense then for the Big 12? Or do they just hang out with West Virginia, who sort of hangs out with Cincinnati? Like, does San Diego State make sense? Yes, everybody in the Pacific time zone, he has said, he wants Pacific time zone. He hasn't been specific about where in the Pacific time zone, but if Washington came knocking, you accept Washington. That's awesome. But it feels like they're waiting for the Pac-12 TV deal, and then they proceed. Otherwise, why not add San Diego State, Gonzaga, UConn now if you think they bring value to the conference and they're additive and so on and so forth, especially in men's
what I
hoops.
gather from that is he and the Big 12 officials are not in a rush.
They don't feel like they're in a rush
They're
based
not
on that
in
conversation.
a rush.
Yeah.
They are taking their time and doing their due diligence to figure out who fits their values of the words that you just brought up.
They have the leverage, it feels like, because they have the TV deal done. The Pac-12 needs to regain its leverage by getting a TV deal that satisfies the members, as he mentioned.
It's we're in a unique situation here because typically we look at like things that are happening on social media and we're like, okay, what's trending? You know, we're going to flip the script here today, Jarom. And like Brett Yormark just gave us what is trending.
Yes,
okay? And we're going to play back a few sound bites for you. So now officially, all rise and shout. Let's get to a Brett Yormark edition of What's Trending. What's Trending, presented by Tim Daly Ford, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. In addition to that loaded question you asked him about the Pac-12 deal, we also talked about BYU's brand value, where he wants to go with the size of the Big 12 conference, the value of basketball, and if that is the impetus for pushing in addition of teams specifically, among other things. Let's start with the brand value comment. Straight up, what does BYU bring to the Big 12 from a national standpoint, brand value, especially when you're negotiating a TV contract? This is what he said.
BYU was a big part of that conversation, their fan base, how national they are, the market they bring, a third time zone, lots of value BYU brought to that conversation, as did the other three schools, but BYU in particular.
But BYU in particular, which is why I believe they were the first invitation of the new four as well.
We've been told that BYU didn't have to apply the second time, that their application was the 2016 one, and they were like, okay, we've got you and who else? I've never thought about I've thought about it, but not like it just drove home when he said BYU adds the Mountain Time Zone, like by itself.
Yes.
Adds a time zone, which means 8:25 kickoffs at night. But like that's what that means. That's interesting. Okay, you asked about kind of size of the conference.
Yes.
This was very interesting. Listen to this.
I'd like to stay at 14, even with the departures of Texas and Oklahoma, candidly. We'll see if that's a possibility or not.
Okay, the adding
14 is
so
the
adding
desired
2
number.
At some point when Texas and Oklahoma are out after this year.
Yes, and again, he told us, it's not been a secret, I want to get to the West Coast. So it would shock me.
It's obviously Pac-12 dropouts or San Diego State,
maybe Gonzaga
types. Although they don't push into the football space, obviously, but they sure as heck push into the men's basketball space. How quickly will that happen? San Diego State is sweating bullets right now because they're going to owe the Mountain West $17 million.
But they asked for an extension, Jarom, so they'll probably get it.
We have a little history with that league. It ain't happening, okay? It ain't happening.
The Big 12 is open for business comment that Brett Yormark made at last year's Big 12 media.
I feel like that was Broncos' quest for perfection.
Yes.
Well, let me explain.
Okay. So he just told us what he specifically and exactly meant by that comment.
I said last year during media day, it's almost been a year now, we're open for business. And some people interpreted that from an expansion perspective. That's not what my intent was at the time, nor is it today. We're open for business, and what that really means is we're going to explore every and all possibility to grow our brand, to grow our business, to enhance the student-athlete experience. And, if extending, this combined pro day format beyond football is something that makes sense and we can partner with the right people, we'll explore it.
To quote him further, we are only getting started.
I just love he didn't come from I've always wanted to be a football commissioner standpoint. He came from a business standpoint, from a music and entertainment standpoint. So what he's doing is just awesome. I am wholeheartedly on board with what's going on. Not because we're new in the league and we have to be, but because it makes sense. When there's an idea and you go, why didn't we think of that earlier? That is the sign of a great idea. And that continues to happen with the Big 12.
Listen, if I'm going to be the president of the Brett Yormark fan club, I got to get a suit from his New York guy, right?
It might be a little spendy, let's be honest.
That's when he said that. He's like, I got a guy in New York. And I'm like, out of my budget. Our question of the day.
A coach on campus yesterday said, hey, do you guys get paid more now that we're in the Big 12? I said, I wish. I wish.
I need it. Hey, third floor, I'm going to need a bump in pay to get that Brett Yormark suit.
The production, the control room's like, go to break.
Our question of the day, which aspect of BYU joining the Big 12 has you the most excited?
The increased salary.
Yeah. Chad Poole on Facebook says, respect. I like being the underdog, and it seems BYU always will be an underdog, but I'm tired of the disrespect. If BYU is challenging for a Power 5 championship, the respect will be undeniable. You win a Power 5 conference championship of some sort, then you've arrived.
Winning is how you do that. Win.
Hashtag BYUSN, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to join the conversation.
Join Spence, myself, our homie Alema Harrington at the countdown to the Big 12 celebration Friday. Gates open at 11 Mountain Time. There's a free shirts, fireworks going to go off. 11:30 p.m. is when the live stream begins. This is at the Student Athlete Turf Field. It's going to be so fun on the BYU Cougars social media platforms.
Still to come, a Big 12 Media Days announcement. Okay, and the championship matchup gets set in our best BYU football wins bracket. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968.
When my grandfather started this company in 1947, he couldn't have envisioned what we would ultimately become. We realized that our value to our customers is that we will be there day after day, year after year, doing whatever we need to find solutions to the challenges that they face. We are committed to be honestly better in all that we do, in every opportunity that we have to serve our customers.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land. where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation is on social media. You can follow us for Brett Yormark commentary. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Welcome back to Studio B. I am Spencer Linton alongside Jarom. Jordan, let's get to today's headlines.
BYU officially joins the Big 12 Saturday with Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. Friday night, we'll be celebrating with the big countdown to the Big 12 show at 11 p.m. Mountain Time at Student Athlete Outdoor Fields. Live show on the stream at 11:30 Mountain tomorrow night. BYU Cougars social media. Then Saturday, 5 to 7 Eastern Time on BYUtv and BYU Radio. We've got a BYUSN Game Day show, The Big Party. It's going to be awesome Friday and Saturday, man. So fun.
Also in Big 12 news, it was announced yesterday which players will be representing each of the teams at Big 12 Media Days scheduled for July 12th and 13th in Dallas, Texas. For BYU, it will be quarterback Keaton Slovis, receiver Cody Epps, defensive lineman Tyler Batty, linebacker Ben Bywater, and your guy, Jarom, the punter, y'all. Ryan Rico is making the trip along with head coach Kalani Sitake. BYU Sports Nation will be live 3 days in Texas, July 12th, 13th, and 14th, centering in on Big 12 Media Days. Which brings us to our stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
We mentioned Mr. Rico.
Yeah.
He'll be the only punter at Big 12 Media Days.
Yeah. That says a lot about Ryan Rico. Which, by the way, Cougar Stats tweeted out he has the second best net punting average in BYU history behind Lee Johnson, who only played like 17 years in the NFL.
Just give him the Ray guy already.
He doesn't punt enough to qualify sometimes. BYU's offense too good. I blame Aaron Roderick, and it's a good thing. Incoming freshman Peter Kim, current Cougars Keanu Akina, Zach Jones, the defending champ, and former Cougar Elijah Turner advanced to the round of 32 in the Utah State Amateur today in match play. In fact, Kim and Akina are playing against each other. Round of 16 is today as well.
Our guy Daniel Schneemann continues to just rock in AAA baseball. Last night, 4 for 6 with a home run, a double, and 3 runs batted in last night. He was a triple shy of hitting for the cycle for the Columbus Clippers. Again, that's the AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Guardians. He's batting .311 on the season, which leads
Amber
the
is
entire
the color of your energy.
Guardians farm system. Nice poll, .311.
Thank you. They're coming to town. I'm debating whether I should go. Mixed Romanus of the men's volleyball team is playing for the Latvian senior national team in the European Silver League, and they're in the finals July 6th and 7th.
Alexa Gray, still awesome. Had 22 kills for Team Canada in a 5-set win against Brazil in the Volleyball Nations League going on in Bangkok, Thailand.
And the men's basketball team has posted an opening for an assistant coach position. It's not to replace anybody, it's to add, because in January, the NCAA approved 2 more assistant coaches for men and women's basketball teams. The new assistant coach or coaches can do and be whatever kind of assistant they want, except they can't travel to recruit. So, Spence, if you want to apply, you can.
All right, let's go, man. I can't wait to not get the job. Those are today's headlines. Now let's opinionate in the whip. Cougar Whip Round presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner. And for our opinions today, we go to the best win bracket.
Who's gonna win?
Holy cow.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so before we can reveal the championship matchup and tell you who's joining the #1 seed, BYU's win over Miami in 1990, we got to give you the results from the 2 versus 3 seed. This is the closest matchup we had the entire bracket.
This came down to the wire, literally moments ago.
Crazy. It ended like 1 minute ago. We heard, in fact, 5 minutes ago, we heard it was 50.2% to 49.8%.
And the winner at 50.2% is Michigan 84 takes down a 1980.
Wow.
So it's all been chalk. It comes down to this. I don't see how Miami's losing this, by the way. Miami's going to win this thing. That is the championship game. We're going to put that out today. And, you know, it's so awesome. Let's just watch a music video about it.
Do it.
Shall we?
Yeah.
At the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, and the BYU Cougars playing for the national championship. But Boston is hurting, so that is not a good sign at all. University of Miami, the #1